everyone, you're here to watch me analyze Maison, Dreamcatcher's latest release. I will talk about the music video, and I will also talk about the dance practice that was released, because the dance seems to be very important to telling the story of the MV, but you don't see it very well in the MV. I'll combine the two, and I've been waiting until the English subtitles dropped on the MV itself. Simply because the message is, of course, very important to the music video, and especially because of that, there is this preface. Because I am recording this on the day that Dreamcatcher Company announced that they will launch an NFT project, which is basically a line of electronic images for which you can buy the original licensing rights. So you own the image, but everyone can be in possession of the image. Maison has a very important message about climate change and how we, as people who live on this planet, impact our planet with either our actions or our inactions. Dreamcatcher Company deciding to invest or get into NFTs goes directly against this message. And that is a problem for me, because I'm someone who is very environmentally conscious, and I go to great lengths in my own life to minimize my impact on the environment. Knowing that Dreamcatcher Company has decided, and as of the filming of this, has not either come out with an explanation or a statement to counter that they will be releasing these the NFT project, because they've decided this step. I am very conflicted in talking about Maison and promoting this MV, because it goes against my personal ethics. That said, I love Dreamcatcher, I love the girls, and I don't want this in being having an impact on them. So I've been going back and forth with myself mostly, and the lovely people on my Discord, about how to address this and how to support Maison and Dreamcatcher without supporting Dreamcatcher Company. And my personal conclusion is that I can't. If I support Dreamcatcher and Maison, I also support Dreamcatcher Company. I am hopeful that Dreamcatcher Company will withdraw from the deal that they made, and that they somehow damage control this into something that won't impact the girls and DC's chances of a win and a successful comeback. Personally, for me, the damage has been done. I hope to get over it in the long run. But for now, I'm mostly in pain. I will, however, support the girls. So, moving on, I will continue my channel. I will continue making Dreamcatcher content. And I will talk about and stream Maison. This is painful for me. And ethically, it doesn't feel right, but I promise to be there for the girls, so I am. What I will do, however, is every time I use any content from Maison, because that especially is the message that Dreamcatcher Company itself goes against. So every time I use content from Maison, I will go to Plant a Tree, which is an initiative that literally does what it says on the box. It buys a tree for every donation you make. Net zero and carbon neutrality are an absolute myth when it comes to buying trees to offset your carbon footprint. Please don't think I, in any way, shape, or form, think that this will offset the environmental impact Dreamcatcher Company's decision has on the environment. And it also doesn't buy me peace of mind in any way. But it is a step. It is one small thing I can do to at least contribute in a positive way when a company I used to respect takes a step like this. I will link the cause below. This is already really long, and I don't want to make this any longer. All I can say is that this is a personal decision, one I went back and forth on quite a few times. But this, for me, in the hopes that they will still back out of this deal, is my only way of moving forward. This is something that is very close to my heart and worth the investment. In the spirit of Maison. Alright, Dreamcatcher Maison. Let's get it. You've seen my reaction. You've mostly seen me freak out about CGI, beautiful women, and an awesome message. But now we're going to talk a bit more about that message and about what I think this universe is and how it might tie into the future installments. Of course, this is pure speculation. I might be proven entirely wrong next comeback, and that's perfectly alright. I just want to put forth the theories I have come up with while watching Maison a gazillion times in streaming this for the girls and for a potential first win. I'm going to let it run once, and I'm going to point out a few things, and then from there on we're going to go back and we're going to talk about it. But I need you to see some stuff first that I have seen. And of course you've seen this MV a gazillion times, I know. I just need you to know which parts I am focusing on. And it works better if you see it in perspective. Okay, so obviously we have Dreamcatcher being able to go from one place to another through portals. And this place is not a good place. It is a place that is run by Horn Guy Overlord and his soldiers, either with or without an animal mask. We also see, and I'm going to go back anyway, because this shot is important for my later theory, that they are in fact familiar with the original environment of the Dreamcatcher members, which I'm calling Olympus because it just looks very Greek Roman to me. So Olympus it is. But this is obviously a bronze version of the marble statues that we get later on in Olympus. So we have the direct sort of offset with the same kind of statues. It's not the same statue, but we see that there is a relation through the portal and through the statues between these two settings. We also see here, especially in this shot, but in a couple of other, especially Gaion shots, that the complex that they are in is not just, Olympus, a city on top of a mountain for the gods. It is obviously a bigger city. And we can assume, or at least I'm assuming, that this is a place that other people live as well. They just also live here, and they might be more important. Maybe they're royalty, maybe they're, I don't know, in charge of things, or special because they have special abilities, like we will see with Gaion's cards and Dami's levitation powers. Telekinetic powers, not levitation. We will talk about the lyrics as well. Another shot that I want you to pay attention to, because this is apparently some sort of tower where statues are looking down at the person below in kind of a either pleading or judging manner, and I assume this is the same statue that we will later see with whose hands Jiu is in, which then turns into this black version, skeletal version. Dami scene with soldiers on the floor and her raising them up in a bit. There, so she has powers as well. Note the change of the sky. And the fact that once the portal opened, it cleared again. Also note this scene. This is Olympus, but in ruins. Oh, let me find the zoom out shot. This is the same kind of setting that they have, but the pillars have obviously rotted away. The sky is back to that black version, red version, sort of looming. And we see technological banners on the floor, kind of like veins running into this scene. As we can see here, this earth, as messed up as it looks, still functions. There are still industry. Things are still being produced. Somehow people are surviving here under this regime of pollution, of environmental destruction. Needless to say, this whole scene will be important. And Sua has powers as well. That same statue as before, in this scene with Gaion, where there are more of them in the tower. that we will get back to in a bit. Just important to note that we have already seen this, probably. All right, Maison. So I'm going to put forth a theory, and you can completely agree, disagree. That's fine. It's my theory. My theory is that we are looking at a reminder that we are on a crossroads. We are on a crossroads between choosing this or this, basically. We, right now in our world, we are at a point where we are running rapidly out of time to change what we have done to our planet. Worlds are dying, oceans are dying, species of animals are going extinct. We are polluting our skies, we are polluting our water, we are polluting our earth, and we are making ourselves sick as well. We are polluting and poisoning ourselves. And I think, it's my theory, that this MV kind of shows the end result of both sides of that equation. So when one fork in the road goes towards continuing on as we have, we end up in this apocalyptic landscape where we keep producing, keep consuming, and it will eventually consume us and turn us into these, where are we? These, creatures who can't see that they are fighting literally for nothing anymore because it's all gone. And then the other side, if we go the other way, if we choose the other fork in the road, we have a chance to end up in this utopian place, this beautiful world where we have clear skies, where we can breathe, where our soil is fertile, where our oceans thrive. And if we want to get there, we're going to have to act. And we're going to have to act now. So I think it's not so much a time thing that we're doing here, that the portals are going in between. I think it's a dimension thing. I think it's like Earth 1 and Earth 2 formed after the split, like in the fork in the road of time. And I say this because of especially things like this. Where is it? Let me run it through, because trying to find anything in this MV is sometimes a bit of a pain, especially if you're looking for one image. Come on, see the statue, Ronnie. There. Especially because of scenes like this. Because this is obviously a remnant of... this is reflected in the Olympic world as well. So we can kind of assume that before they split, they both had this kind of reverence for whoever these gods are. And I don't think they should be interpreted as gods in this sense, but maybe as more as in faith in ourselves, faith in people, in justice, in doing the right thing, where these statues that represent that faith and that justice are thriving in the Olympic world, and here they are literally chained down and kind of inflamed in this red smoke. So obviously they've been like justice and truth and that faith in humanity has been attacked and has been hurt, and it's been set in this landscape that is pure apocalyptic and full of consumerism, basically. So if we assume that there was a split somewhere along the road where we lost the sense to see that truth and we lost the will to step up for justice and for doing the right thing, then we end up in this environment, which seems to be controlled by these dudes who are far more sci-fi. So we can assume that we have moved into the future. You can also see like these buildings that are far more futuristic, and you see them here as well. No, because why would you? Like here. And this one's more futuristic as well. And that is especially true, of course, for dummy scenes, which is very tech heavy and obviously in line with the soldiers, and also kind of with Sua's world, like drop point world. I think I should move a little further because I was looking for this one, which doesn't feel as tech heavy, but you do see the guys, or the goat guys' armor, which is sort of reminiscent of the ones we saw before. And they obviously do appear to kind of have that same animalistic vibe that the huge mask had said before as well. So going from that, we're going to find the start. Go through some of the lyrics, because those obviously have an impact on the story as well. And at least for me, they kind of confirm the theory. Okay, so we have here Geo basically saying that you can't breathe, that things are collapsing, that tomorrow, so this tomorrow where she is located, that the options there are limited, and that if we want to fight that, we will have to fight that. Make the ground reverberate, make noise, take action. Oh, you can't fool me anymore. I know everything. I think we as a people, for us, and Dami comes back to this as well, it is very easy to ignore climate change, because facing climate change means sacrificing some of your creature comforts. It means confronting a future for yourself and for the planet that is very uncomfortable. It means contemplating that your future might not look the way you want it to look, that that the world we leave for our children might be a dying one, because that's where we left off with it. And casting away those blinders is a really painful progress and process. It requires looking into your own behavior and realizing that what you're doing, because it's cheap or convenient, might not be sustainable. And it might mean leaving those things behind. And that can be super simple or super basic. It can be no longer buying cheap clothes and throwing them away as soon as they become ragged, or because you're just tired of them. But being aware of how that chain works and investing in more expensive clothes that you'll be wearing for longer, even if they might not be in fashion in that sense, because that is just simply so much better for the environment. And that's just one really small example. And I don't want to give a bunch, but it means changing behavior. And I think that is what Shion here especially is saying, like, oh, you can't fool me anymore. I know everything. I've cast off those blinders. I know what I am impacting on the environment and the steps I can take, even if it hurts, to make sure that we don't end up in this fork. This is an interesting little thing. We obviously can't really see what's on it, although it looks like it's kind of the death card, the tarot death card, like with this little skull here, and maybe a hood. For those of you not into tarot, the death card doesn't literally represent death. It represents rebirth. It represents the end of one thing to start another. So in my opinion, it ties into that same vibe where you have to cast off the old way and accept a new way, even if it's less convenient, even if it's more expensive, even if it means no longer having direct access to your old behavior patterns, simply because the planet can't sustain it. Which is backed up by Break Your Habit Now. Well, the chorus speaks for itself, of course. We'll get back to the dance in that. Okay, we're talking about this. The first time I saw this and realized that these were statues sort of holding their hands like this in kind of a prayer, but also a sort of receptacle kind of way. I also realized that it ties into the statue that we later see where it's holding Jiu. And since we can sort of overlay that image here, because I think it's the same kind of statue, at least, if not the same statue, we can interpret it as weighing, as both as kind of divine, like a Maria figure holding a person both in safety but also in judgment. Because frankly, what else do the gods do other than judge us, either during life or after death? So here we have a scene of Dion looking up at literally a tower of judgment, a divine council, where those who stand at the bottom, which can also kind of represent sort of enlightenment, where you start at the bottom and rise up when you become more enlightened. And in this case here, she's still below all of the statues, so probably getting judged and weighed for her actions, and implementing that, or indicating that we are all in that way judged for what we do, by coming back to that statue theory where it's not as much divine as a representation of faith and truth and justice. So we are judged by the measures of goodliness for our behavior. Like Guyon here is at the bottom of this tower being judged by all these statues. Okay, Dami. Dami's entire rap, I'm going to run through it once, and then we are going to go back and do it line by line. Obviously, her setting is in this dystopian world, in sort of the headmaster's, or the leader's office. It looks like security. It looks like camera screens where people are being watched and monitored and controlled. And obviously, Dami, with her powers, has overtaken this structure. And she tells us, okay. So, Dami. People do whatever they want. A confession with nothing but a shell. Close your eyes. The future I can't see even if I wait. I know it's too late to regret it. I'm going to ignore the B here. It's weirdly hot, right? The loss of this planet. It's like your conscience that's drying up. So what we have here is basically Dami saying that our behavior to do what we want and what we, sort of the fulfillment, the gratification of our needs is problematic, and any action taken to say, like, the sentiment of wanting to save our planet doesn't matter if it isn't backed up with action. That is what I'm getting from this part of what I'm getting from Dami's rap. And you can only say you want to save the planet and not do anything to save the planet if you close your eyes and sort of put those blinders on that we talked about before, where you just let it happen because you don't want to let go of your creature comforts. And if you do wait, if we go past this fork and we take that left side for me, then it'll be too late. We are racing towards the point where it's too late to change anything. And if you want that easy way, if you want to keep your creature comforts, then you will get hurt because the planet can't sustain us the way we are behaving right now. It just can't. Which is given, and she gives an example in It's Weirdly Hot, right? The loss of this planet. It's like your conscience is drying up. So basically, we have this global warming that is affecting the global food chain. It is impacting where we will be able to live in a couple of years. It will impact the water levels. It will impact how the Arctic is doing. It will impact animals. It will impact literally everything. And the fact that we are not acting, that we are making these empty confessions and promises without an action connected to it that has an actual impact. She addresses that here. It's like your conscience that's drying up. So we say these things, but we don't do it. Then we put our blinders on and we sort of step away from the responsibility that we all have to make a better world. And since we are seeing that now, we're casting away. Okay, so this is another scene that really sort of gives a warning. This is a warning scene to me. It says that we know that if we choose the left fork, we end up in dystopia. But we still, even if we choose the right fork, there is always a danger of messing it up down the road later on. It's not like if we fix something now, it'll be forever corrected. The planet will just be perfectly all right forever. If we want to make a change, it has to be structural. It has to be for forever. We'll forever have to change our behavior. We can't spend 10 years focusing on renewable energy and on changing our buying patterns and figuring out ways to reduce CO2, for example. We have to do this forever moving forward. Because we have a planet that is getting fuller and fuller with people and emptier of nature. So if we want to change, some balance has to be restored, and it has to be restored for the long term, else the utopian Olympus is still going to get destroyed. And you can kind of see that with the bands on the ground. That's back. That sort of that sort of futuristic evil corporation side running into this. So the worlds are kind of bleeding together here as a kind of a warning, and it is destroying this one as well. And alternatively, which I also was thinking about, especially because the statues have become so dark and their clothes have also become dark and grey, and their makeup as well, that this, if we don't act, if we keep looking away, it is also going to darken us. It is going to pollute us just as much as it will pollute the environment, and we will eventually become those creatures that Yuyan and Sua come across and are fighting. That's another interesting bridge, lyrically speaking. Dying at all in a rough wind. Turn back to the moment when every season is vivid. So basically that's a little past the point of where we are. But it is, we're still kind of there. We're still at the point where we can make a decision, where we can turn back time to sort of to go back or recreate a version of our planet that is healthy and that is sustainable for us as a species, but also all other species of animal and plant life. And that once you cast off those blinders, it just hurts to know that we're messing it up and not doing enough. This is that figure that I was talking about before. Because it is kind of that statue that is like cupping, in this case, Chiyu in her angelic form. But it's also being corrupted, polluted. So we, as a person, that's, I think, who Chiyu represents, us as a person, as a singular person, has a choice to either be that the Olympic version or the apocalyptic version, or to pick which side we want to be, which fork in the road we want to go down, feeding back into the make a choice and be environmentally responsible narrative. And of course, Dreamcatcher in this MV are the heroes who go into the other dimension to fight and try to restore that world, which is what I am assuming that we will go towards. And I have to go back a little bit. Mostly I want to go back to the chorus for a second because I forgot to say something about it. So we will start here. The chorus does speak for itself, but now we've talked about kind of the idea that I have about this trilogy and about Maison in particular. The interesting thing about this MV, to me, about this chorus, is that it is not direct. It says protect my maison, protect my home, the planet in this case. But then it goes to, please someone fight for us. And I think this chorus is where we are as mankind right now. We all want to change. We say we want to change. We say we don't want global warming and that we want a better future for ourselves and for our kids. And then the next thing is that we don't follow up. So we either don't make the changes or we take action that still counters what we are saying. And basically we then say, please, someone fight for us. Someone fix this for us, so we don't have to worry about this thing called climate change, because it's inconvenient. It's not fun. It's not something that we want to deal with, but we do want it to change, so someone change it for us. And I think moving forward, we will have the next one be a transitional one where the blinders come off and we see that we have to fix it ourselves, followed by us actually fixing it, or one in between where we have sort of a continuation of this thread, of this thread, like where we are blinded by our own inability to distance ourselves from what we want, thus causing this ruin to the planet and to ourselves and to whatever it is around us that is getting destroyed. And then the final one will be realizing that we are the ones who have to fix it. So this passive narrative that I have seen that people are annoyed about sometimes, I think that is because it hits a little close to home, not so especially for those people, but us as mankind right now, where we say we want this to change, but then we're not on the barricades, most of us, and we judge the people who are. So people who say that climate change is a real thing, scientists, but also people like Greta Thunberg, they get ridiculed and mostly by people who just want to keep doing the same thing that they have been doing. And then when people realize that that is not sustainable, they say, okay, someone make this go away. Someone in science or someone in politics take those steps, but we don't want to feel it in our wallet. We don't want to pay more for you to fix the planet. We don't want to pay more taxes. We don't want wind machines in our, or windmills in our back, like in our view, in our house. We don't want, I don't know, parts of seas being shut down for fishery because we need windmill parks, for example, or solar parks. We don't want any of that. We don't want to be inconvenienced by our struggle to save the planet. We just want it saved. And I think that is what the chorus is addressing. And of course, Dreamcatcher is here to fight for us in that sense. Yeah, and this also here. The moment you ignore it, all disappears. And that is both that sort of shielding yourself and hiding yourself away from the truth, but also if we hide from it all, our planet will disappear. Pretending not to know, you disappear too. So if we carry on this way, we will go extinct. The earth can't sustain us. Okay, and then we're going to go straight into the dance video, and I'm going to point out some things again that I think tie into the MV and also tie into the message. This will be shorter, don't worry, this is already running so long. Okay, the start is interesting already. We're banding together and we are obviously going to be warriors because the dancers are coming in. And it's going to be a very short fight scene first. Fight, lift, fight, especially Sua and Xian. Here, Jiu is literally punching as well. Maison, home. This symbol will come back a lot, like the triangular maison. The roof. Like being held back, being pulled back. Again, fighting power. More home. That little odd eye reference going back to the dystopia era. Maison, of course. Wind, of course, like in the lyrics. Bearing the weight. This is a great move, this pushing down. Also indicating that it's a fight with yourself and pushing yourself like the weight that we have on the planet, sort of pushing that down, but also us keeping each other down. This move where Dongi, I mean, the dancers, of course, represent kind of the bad guys. They dance with, but mostly against the Dreamcatcher girls. You will see that later on in the shooting scene as well. But here again, and later where Shion kicks the dancer, they're obviously the antagonists and being pushed aside to sort of break free of the chains that we are casting on ourselves as a species by handicapping the planet so much. And also a bit of an odd-eye reference. Here's her kick, I think. Yeah, there. Opposing forces. And again, Maison. Brilliant ending fairy pose. I'm thinking if that's all I wanted to say, but I think it is. So that is kind of the idea that I get out of Maison, that it is a call for us to cast off our blinders, to not just say that we want to take action, but actually take action. And the two worlds that we can create, that they are in our hands. And once we are down one of these paths, this moment where we still have a choice will be judged. And it will be judged on how just and open and willing to change we were, willing to sacrifice a little for the greater cause. I'm considering if I'm going to add this on, and I am going to add this on. This is exactly why the NFT situation hurts so much, because the message is so clear that we want to take that right path towards Olympus. But taking an action as a company that is clearly down the left path, that is clearly consumerism and corporate greed, that leads to the post-apocalyptic world that we see, or the apocalyptic world that we see. To see them as a company go against this narrative that they've created, this important narrative that they've created, is just so painful. And it is so ill-timed. And I will never be okay with that. So, as much as I love Maison and its message, and I'm going to focus on that, there is a definite issue going on with Dreamcatcher Company. And I won't gloss over that, because that is exactly what the girls just told us. Don't close your eyes to this. Don't allow us as a people, as humanity, as a planet to slide into that left side option, in that apocalyptic option. Choose the right way. Hurt. Make noise. Be environmentally conscientious, and don't accept that kind of behavior, even if it hurts. So make that sacrifice and protect our home. Thank you for watching.